sexing.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is such an awesome event. Okay, so we are left with Barbara here, who's going to. Sorry, I don't know why I said Barbara. Debbie, and she's going to sing us the national anthem, and then we're going to have Marissa speak a little bit. Well, we're going to do a prayer first. Okay.
Hi, it's Debbie Westcoon, and I am a native of Arizona. I'm so happy to be here to help out Marissa Hamilton. I invite you to join me in the national anthem. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare almost bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the Okay, I'm going to have the mic over. We're going to have can we have Susan come, please? She's going to give us a prayer.
Here you go. Eternal Father, we give you thanks for the great blessing of the United States of America and your guiding hand in its founding. Please make us always mindful of that and protect and send your Holy Spirit on particularly for our President Donald J. Trump and all those candidates who stand for our freedoms and protect our way of life. And give glory to you, God. And we can do always ever mindful that you give strength from you and that we honor that every day. And then, because I'm Catholic and because this is the feast of St. Michael the Archangel, I'm going to close with that because it's very appropriate. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking to ruin souls. Amen.
Sorry. Thank you, everyone, for coming. My name is Marissa Hamilton, and I'm running for mayor of Phoenix. This is a very important election, as you all know, which is why you're here, and I am so thankful that we have had such an overwhelming response from our community every step of the way of this campaign. Move over. Sorry. Gotcha. I'll move on this side. And so I just want to thank you all for your activism, for constantly standing in the gap. And for anyone here that has volunteered on our campaign in some way, shape, or form, can you just stand up so we can thank you? Thank you so much. Our campaign is truly people-powered. I want to take a moment, because we don't see it often enough, for those that are retired or currently serving as first responders, as police, or our military. Can you please stand so we can honor you? Thank you so much for your service. We have our freedoms because of you. I wanted to speak briefly about where we're at as a city, because, and I think, can I walk forward? Okay. I think that it's really important for us to understand what's on the line this election, but I have a feeling I'm speaking to the choir to some extent. Right now we are in a position where all of a sudden public safety and our police has become a partisan issue. We can do that. And the concern I have with that, as not only a survivor of domestic violence, but also someone that's advocated for victims of violence, is that when you destabilize public safety, you destabilize the framework of America. You destabilize our Constitution. You destabilize our liberties. You destabilize opportunity. Phoenix has worked so hard and come so far, where prior to the pandemic we had the fastest growing economy. And we were, for the most part, the #1 city chosen to move to in the whole nation. Think about that. As we have seen the cities on the West Coast fail, and now be lit on fire with riots and arson and the violence that we're seeing, as people are fleeing, they're basically choosing 3 locations: Arizona, Texas, and Florida. And that's a testament to the freedom and opportunity that we have in our city. But we have that freedom and opportunity because we're viewed as a safer city than the places that people are fleeing from. We are 1 vote away on the city council from losing that vote. There was a vote this year in an attempt to defund our police by 25%. Yeah, boo. Whereas our patrol levels are actually below 2008 levels of patrol officers, as our population has increased substantially. And so this creates a very dangerous situation for us in our city. We recently had 3 attacks in the same week on our police officers. We had a drive-by shooting on U.S. Marshals. We had an ambush on 2 DPS officers. And we had someone that tried to ram into a police vehicle as they were trying to do an investigation on a stolen vehicle. At this time, our mayor was completely silent in all 3 attacks. And most of our city didn't even know that there's a hunt on law enforcement happening in Phoenix. And so it is our responsibility to stand in the gap and have courage. Because I don't think that wanting opportunity for your families, I don't think that wanting to have safe neighborhoods, I don't think wanting to be able to have economic opportunity where it's not completely consumed by ridiculous high taxes, and I don't think that having a desire to help those that are experiencing homelessness to no longer be homeless so we can have permanency are partisan issues. I think these are things that all of us want to have. And so that's why I'm running for mayor of Phoenix. Absolutely. Phoenix, because of where we are located, especially within the supply chain, and that's my background, we are located perfectly between Mexico and the West Coast for us to be able to be the king of manufacturing and exports. We have the opportunity to have Phoenix become the most innovative city in America. And that is my vision. From our public transportation, from our ability to be able to manufacture our own medical equipment so we're never brought to our knees by a medical crisis ever again, to being a city where every job, every business, and every person is essential all the time. How are we doing on time? 8 minutes. Okay, thank you, Fox. So, I don't think I'll talk for 8 minutes. I mean, I could, but there's better things for us to do, like talk amongst ourselves about how excited we are about the debate tonight. There's a few important stats that I want to leave you with, because facts are our friends, and it's important that our voters know the situation that we face. Prior to the pandemic, we had an 18% increase in homelessness year over year. 18%, that's the highest jump we've had in a very long time. But under our current mayor, since she first took public office in 2014, we've had a 208% increase in homelessness. That is horrifying. And our mayor over the summer said, don't worry, I'm taking advice from the mayor of San Francisco. We're going to be fine. San Francisco's big idea was to add an option on their website so people could report human feces. I don't think that's the direction our Phoenix residents want us to go in. Instead, we need to be able to have solutions to help those that are struggling to be able to get back on their feet. And we also need to especially focus on our veterans. We received $293 million of COVID money to be able to help us through this crisis from our federal government, and only 0.34% of it was spent on testing. While at the same time, our mayor was going on national TV saying that our president hadn't done anything for testing, and then we found out we had 40 test sites in Phoenix. Within the definition of vulnerable categories, veterans were not included in that. Refugees were included in that, but not veterans. And so that's the situation that we face. Phoenix has a decision to make as to the direction that we want to go. We have to decide, are we going to be the city where everyone is essential? Are we going to be the city that we hold our public officials accountable when there's fraud and waste and corruption in our spending? By the way, there was plenty of money for 2 cash payments to artists, whereas our restaurants who were shut down only received $1 million in assistance in total, which works out to be about $347 per restaurant on average. We need to be able to move forward in a way where we can manage a pandemic and keep our economy moving at the same time, but keep our people safe. That's my background of bringing people together, bringing the stakeholders together to solve problems. A couple of other facts for you. From the isolation policies that we've seen, we've had a 25% increase in aggravated assault. We've had a 25% increase in homicide. We've had a 180% increase in domestic violence deaths. We've had an increase in drownings of adults, children and adults too. And so as we move forward, we need to move forward in a way where people are not suffering more because of the decisions government made. My position is, how dare government tell you that you're not essential? And so as we move forward to the election, please let all of your friends and neighbors and family know what the situation that we face. I'm talking to Democrats and independents on a regular basis, and they support our police. They want to have safe neighborhoods. They want to keep our city as a thriving city. They want to keep our city as an area for growth and economic opportunity. And that's really the decision that we have to make. And so I thank you for your vote. I'm so excited that we get to hear from President Trump tonight. Let's give him a round of applause. And if you are able to help with our campaign, we have a tremendous response so far. We have over 200 volunteers, so we need more every day because we need to be able to talk to 500,000 voters before they vote, which happens in about a week. And so if you are able to help us, we have Lisa. She can help get you signed up to help us in this adventure that we have to flip Phoenix. I can tell you that we have more momentum than any campaign in the last 3 decades. And our finance report will be received soon. It's not something in particular that I'm super concerned about. My goal is to just make sure that we can fund the resources for our volunteers. But we have fundraised more than half than what our previous Republican campaign fundraised over the course of a year, and we've done that in basically a month and a half. So this is the most winnable race we've had in 17 years, and I need your help. At your tables, you should have a flyer for an event on Saturday. If you're able to come, it's going to be so exciting. We're going to have basically a big rock performance on 2 acres of land, so there's plenty of space if you want to social distance. We're also going to have a wonderful flag ceremony and honor our law enforcement and first responders. It's going to be epic, huge, beautiful. And we're going to have a very special grand entrance, which I'm not going to spoil that surprise. But you're not going to want to miss it, so check out that flyer. If you have any questions, come see me or come see Lisa. We would love to have you there and invite your friends and family. Thank you so much. We have 2 minutes left. Let's go!
It's a flavor debate, and I'm sure a lot of you have been to the Broadway debates, which are often about a lot of including and honoring. And that's what I'm saying.
We're going to jump back, and Chris Wallace is talking to the crowd here, giving them the lay of the land. Yeah, and put his audio up for us. But, Dana, just to jump back in there for a moment, if you will.
Sure. Well, I think let's all remember this. This is a historic moment. America is an exceptional nation. You have all of us here watching together. We might have all different viewpoints, but we are one. And more connects us than divides us. And even though there will be debates on issues here, there might even be personal attacks, but really at the end of the day, just remember, America does democracy extremely well, and I'm really glad that all of us are here watching it together.
Carl, Chris, as you look at Dr. Joe Biden there on the Trump family on the other side of the aisle, Chris is telling his audience how important this moment is, not only for this moment in the election, but for American democracy. And it is tough to overstate how important for this race this moment is.
That's right. It's an unusual campaign year, an unusual campaign, and as a result, more people are going to be watching this event tonight, and the outcome could be deeply affected by it. Just a few minutes ago, I bet you a couple of people said to 2 candidates, good luck, honey, I think you're going to do great. And somebody, erstwhile in an authentic tone of voice, said, just being yourself. Which sounds like sort of crummy advice, but it really is true. We need to see these 2 men as they really are. This is the closest we come to a sort of a national examination of them. So there's no artifice. We see them as they truly are, and it matters a great deal to the American people what they take away from those events.
You can see in the tight shots of these faces some anxiety, some anxiousness. We're getting ready for the biggest moment of this election so far, the first presidential debate.
It's big night, and here we go.
Meanwhile, the coronavirus.
With the battle to replace her on the Supreme Court already brewing,
They are fighting for justice.
we are here to serious sidewalk once again.
It is their time to put their foot forward. I refuse to back down.
Chris Wallace.
I told America we wanted to do something, I followed through.
Both candidates make their case to the American people as the country looks for strength and leadership. Will move the country forward. Will rise and bring us together.
This is the most important election in the history of our country. So we, the people, come together.
The candidates of one party. And America needs one.
And welcome to Cleveland, where the biggest stage in the nation is set for President Trump and former Vice President Biden to finally go toe-to-toe in the first presidential debate of 2020. Good evening, I'm Brett there.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. We're live inside the debate hall on the campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. And tonight is the night for one of the most highly anticipated presidential debates in history.
The candidates are at their marks backstage, and moderator, our own Chris Wallace, is about to get things underway. I can't say or overstate the importance of this moment. If you look at the race overall, the national polls, the average of recent polls, has this race at Joe Biden leading by about 6.5 points.
And it comes at a time that the nation is struggling with so many things that are dividing us. When you look at coronavirus, whoever is the president for the next 4 years is going to have an opportunity, hopefully, to see us out of that, to try to stimulate this economy again, the unemployment numbers, try to get things moving, and also to deal with huge issues like China on the foreign stage and the threat from China. So there's so much at stake. And these two men are about to have a chance to show the country how they would handle these really difficult challenges.
Obviously, hanging all over this is COVID-19. We have a different scenario here in the debate hall. Many fewer people here in the audience, from about 900 to about roughly 100. You see Chris Wallace getting ready there. He has selected debate topics. He will go for roughly 6 minutes on each one, 15 minutes for each one of those with back and forth.
So we'll see. Are we going to come out swinging? We have seen President Trump debate a lot. We've now seen Joe Biden debate several times in the primary process here. But this is the big contest. This is the big night when these two men share a stage for the first time ever in this role.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Wallace, our colleague, and
Good evening from the Health Education Campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I decided the topics and the questions in each topic. I can assure you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission or the 2 candidates. This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic, which is serving as the health security advisor to the commission for all 4 debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed that candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you, can focus on what the candidates have to say. No noise except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden. Gentlemen, a lot of people been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the President and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong, and where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time, even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her, and very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they try to do it faster. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Second question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this and reporting this, Mr. President. The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is, and that say occurs when they vote for a United States Senator and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is. Because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the threat.
Let's be honest, we're really not missing anything that matters. As long as we get it fixed before the next question, we're good. Who's in charge of that here? Computer. Nobody likes this. I like that. Hey, technical support. Who are you?
Will carry. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, insurance companies are going to love this. And so it's just not appropriate to do this before this election. If he wins the election, and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
There are 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the Senate is concerned, people already have their say. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said the President and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but the President's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a President elected during that period of time. During that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years. And 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care, that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well, you said you're going to socialists. You're going to socialists.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion. Open discussion, yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not like, and one of the big debates we had with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can't. They do. They will under my proposal.
Now, what you said, it's not what the party is saying.
That is simply.
The party doesn't say. Your party wants to go socialist.
My party is
and socialist
right now. I am
and
the
they're going to dominate you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the Democratic Party is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of. Now, here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing disease. And by the way, the 200,000 people that would die, how many of those survive? Or there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
Joe, you've had 308,000 military people die because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. Because you were very late on the draw. You didn't want me to ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban.
All right, gentlemen,
which was heavily infected. You would have been much later, Joe.
Mr. President,
We're talking about 2 million people.
Mr. President, as a moderator, we're going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is all made up on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot? Because on the ballot. It's on the ballot in the court. In the court.
Well, there's nothing happening there. You don't know her view on Roe v. Wade.
Well, all right, let's talk about it. We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. On health care, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last few years over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Listen.
Well,
I got rid of the individual mandate. I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a big comprehensive. That is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare. Chris, that was the worst part of Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it. And we will protect people.
You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's Cutting drug prices and going with favored nations, which your president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. All of the things that we've done, insulin, I'll give you an example, insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water, you want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs and what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
This is open discussion.
No, but this is what
This is big stuff. Sir, you'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points. to ask the Vice President, which is, he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and
Yes.
the argument that he makes, and other Republicans make, is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will, I thought asking the question, it will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare with Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option, number one.
So you
Number
agree
two.
with Bernie Sanders' far left on the manifesto, we call it, manifesto socialized medicine.
Look, hey, I'm
you saying
not going to
you
listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I've been the whole lot. I'm here standing facing
Look, the Hondas would have left 2 days ago. You would have lost every
All
problem.
he knows how to do is
Tuesday. You got very
Here's the
lucky.
deal. I got very lucky, and you get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just want to make sure. I want to make sure.
What did last in your class first?
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
He doesn't know how to do that. He has, you picked
Piece of class.
the wrong guy, the wrong night, at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders said the
The whole idea,
manifesto.
there is no manifesto, number
Please let him
one.
speak, Mr.
Number
You
two,
just lost the left.
number two.
Absolutely.
Do you have any idea what this Tom's doing?
You have any socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well, I'll tell
President,
you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give
Number
better
three.
health care at a much lower price. Because
By the way, he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
fixed it.
He has never
I've already
offered a
fixed
plan.
it to an extent.
He has never done a
as you
single
might
thing.
know, but probably does.
Okay.
gentlemen, you realize you're both speaking at the same time.
And it's too
Let the President, go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guaranteed pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed, they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive. Premiums are too high. That doesn't work. So we do want to get rid of it. Chris, we want to get rid of it.
I understand this, but I have to give you roughly equal time. Please let the Vice President talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
I have one final question for you,
Sure.
Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know we're senators. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
the question is,
Justice, the radical left,
will you shut up, man?
who is on your list?
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, John. 47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19. It's an awfully serious subject, so let's try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far, and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open. Open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to you,
You have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic. Because you didn't think we should have closed our country. Wait a minute, just 2 minutes. You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governor said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press, they give me bad press, because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job.
You didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief said you did a horrible disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
You made a
There was no recession.
You made a point, but I didn't.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy, speed. He's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to the nurse holding the phone up so you could in fact say goodbye?
You would have lost far more people.
And
you would have been.
And by the way, his own
own
CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held them and said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't trust Johnson, Pfizer?
And by the way,
let me move on to questions about the future, because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future for President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer, I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if they're
So you're
left,
suggesting that the head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slaoui?
I disagree with them. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available.
But he said it's a possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after
it's
that.
generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be
this is
delivering.
the same man.
It's all set up.
By Easter, this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same
Sarcastic.
That was
I would have said
And
sarcastic.
so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying that public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying, Senator Harris is saying you can't trust the scientists.
Well, no, you can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do, but there's millions of scientists, there's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not, they're the people, and by the way,
To the scientists that are in charge,
by the way,
they will have the vaccine very soon.
But do you believe for a moment what he's telling you, in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID. He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two, because guess what? A lot of people die, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
Mr. President, did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word. Because you know what? There's nothing smart about me. 47 years you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something, Jeff. If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See, it's going up in the economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay. It's going up fast.
Okay. When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I don't know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to provide them.
Nancy Pelosi.
Well, you just shush for a minute. And Schumer, by the way, Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with the Senate. He sits at his golf course and, well, I mean, literally, think about it.
You probably play more than I do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact?
Well, he wants to shut down this country. And I want to keep it open. And we need to break things like shut it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November 3rd. Those states are not doing well that are shut down.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think the masks are okay. You have to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I'll put a mask on it, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I wear masks when needed, I wear a mask.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from me, he shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money.
I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, if everybody wore a mask in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
no serious person said the opposite.
No serious. Dr. Fauci said the opposite. He said very strongly, masks are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks good. I'm okay with masks.
I want to ask you about one last subject because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events
because nobody will show up.
People with nobody shows up. In any case, why are you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You go first, sir.
because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean, right now, 25,000, 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
You're not worried about
we have a lot of people.
sir?
Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside, that's a big difference according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally in 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
By the way, the next session, one of the last good rallies he had, and a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing one another.
We've had no negative effect.
No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35, 40,000 people in these rallies.
Just quickly finish up because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraging them not to. And he's a fool on that.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody can.
The economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown in the second quarter. The unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now. Instead of still 204,000 people is too much. 1 person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down, he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening at some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week, you saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance, they can wash their hands, they can wear masks, they can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, when you look at these governors are under siege, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others, you can open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce, look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. We'll move to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis have done very well. Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax program and folks coming out. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in tax.
Sir, it's just the wrong state. I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who have been putting themselves in a way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? He can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools. Why are schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration would give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right, your time is up, sir. Well, you're going to get to...
I'm going to respond to that.
Well, you both got 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So did you.
People want their schools, no, people want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their restaurants. I look at New York, it's so sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their life. They'll be careful, but they want their schools open. I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know,
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President, as you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million. Show us your tax returns. I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, what you want to do, go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under-leveraged because the assets are extremely good, and we have a very, I built a
I'm asking you a specific question, which is...
Let me tell you.
I understand all of that. I understand all of that. No, Mr. President, I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So not
millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just say something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build the building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired right after that happened.
Vice President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And we're going to eliminate those tax and make sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator, and
you're the worst president America has ever had.
Let me just say, Joe, I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. You've done things that you never even thought of. Until the broken military that you gave me, taking care of your pets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward, because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what is the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying America. That we're going to make, the federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
So I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate significant over the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500, you don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars. Because you, in fact, passed that.